Welcome. Welcome to the United States of America. It is such an honor for us to receive you here today. This is the land of the free. It makes me so happy to see you with our flag in your hands, and that flag symbolizes liberty for so many of us. Many of us, our families, have had a journey not that different from the journey that you are embarking on today. Any adjustment in life, any change takes a while to get used to. But I want you all to know that you are really welcome here, and that we respect what you have had to deal with these last few years. We respect the long tradition of your people and what you have accomplished over the years. And I am sure that you will be successful. It's, as you know, a lot of you, I think, are farmers, right? When you have quality seeds, you can put them in foreign soil and they will blossom, they will bloom. And we are excited to welcome you here to our country, where we think you will bloom, and we will hopefully allow you to have fulfilling lives for your children, and then we will bloom and we will benefit alongside you.
All right, thank you all for joining me today. So we got to talk about this whole South Africa refugees who arrived in the United States yesterday. So it's a great topic to talk about.
Donald Trump is helping white South Afrikaners resettle here in the United States. Because if you haven't heard, and you haven't because of the obvious reasons, really, the shade of these people's skin, white South Afrikaners have been getting and their farms taken away from them simply for being, you guessed it, the shade of white. So these are real asylum seekers who are being let into the United States, and they're getting a fast track to American citizenship. And I hope he lets in thousands more. And what's interesting is, when they arrived here yesterday, they arrived in Virginia. Let's take a look at them. Yeah, they're holding the American flag, opposed to what we're used to seeing when caravans are storming our southern border. We're seeing the individuals carry the flags and waving the flags of the country they're fleeing, opposed to the American flag. So at least these white South Afrikaners are embracing America and the flag. So yes, these white South Afrikaners, like I said, have been under distress for years now. There was a documentary made in 2018 by independent journalist Lauren Southern called Farmlands, which goes into depth about what has been happening to white South Afrikaners and their farms.
You know, it's funny because when I hear guys like this talk, it's funny how they are very picky with history, right? Because he sounds very misinformed, because the narrative you hear about the South Africans, the white South Africans in South Africa, is that they're going through a distress and they're getting alliances from them. What about when they came in, the Dutch, which is the descendants of Dutch, came into Africa and South Africa and stole the land from the black people? What about that one? Because I'm pretty sure, that years ago, right, in the 1700s, that whole area was all black. And when these Dutch people came and colonized South Africa, they stole the land from the black people over there. But you'll find guys that won't talk about this, guys like these guys, who just want to cherry pick history and talk about, the white South Africans, they're taking the lands and they're going through distress. We'll talk about this because I've got my own thing against South Africa, right? But I just wanted to at least talk about that point right off the bat, that these guys would just pick what they want to pick and talk about their lands for the white people are getting snatched. But they won't talk about how they went to that country and colonized the country, snatched all the black people's land, didn't compensate them, didn't give them a penny for it, stole their land and drove them into slums. That's interesting.
A group of white South Africaners have now landed in the U.S. So their refugee status or immigration status was asked to be escalated by President Trump, citing that white South Africans were being discriminated against by the government. The Trump administration says the government was confiscating their lands, or that they were being treated poorly. Meanwhile, the South African ministry said that these are one of the most economically privileged groups, the white South Africans. And it's amazing how there are poor immigrants with refugee status who have been seeking to get in the U.S. for years that have now been skipped over by white South Africans, which process for them was only a couple of months. So if you look, the only stipulation they said was that they were white, of European descent, specifically Dutch settlers that were in South Africa and had owned land, and were supposedly facing discrimination from the South African government, which the South African government denies. As you know, here in America, we have been deporting as many immigrants as possible and suspending programs for people to actually be legal U.S. residents, i.e. the Venezuelan, where they suspended the immigration status of over 500,000 Venezuelans. So, what do you guys think of this program?
I just saw a video that Trump has brought in the white immigrants who are being poorly mistreated in their country, so he wants to save them. You Latinos for Trump, come to the front. Come to the front, you fucking disgraceful pieces of shit, you.
Yo, I'm glad she said it. Because we're going to talk about that. I'm glad she said it.
What a fucking embarrassment you are to our people, to our culture, to our ancestors, who fought with their freaking lives against this very same regime that you got up, got dressed with your own right and your own free will, and voted for this fucking piece of shit president that's here now. And we all, as a whole, the Hispanic community, get looped in with you all. As, oh, your people voted for him. Because you want to be white aligned so fucking badly. You know that when Christopher Columbus went to put the island of Puerto Rico, I'm talking to Boricuas right now. When he went to the island of Puerto Rico, he found the Taino people to be so warm and welcoming and giving that he went back to Spain and told the king, yo, give me 50 soldiers. I can take over the whole island. These people are giving to a fault. He went over there and captured all the natives, tortured, killed, sold, and raped the women. And you pieces of shit voted for the same type of motherfuckers. I'm so pissed. I can't even stop cursing. There's not even a word to describe what I think about you Latinos for Trump. There's no, because you are disgraceful beyond measure. And to get a pat on the head that you didn't even get. You're nothing more than a whore for a white man. And I'm talking to men and women alike.
Man, she laid it out there. Because what she's saying is an obvious question. Where are the Latinos? Because it's incredibly embarrassing that you have the ones who are Latinos that call themselves Latinos for Trump. You know, we saw that whole banner back in 2024, 2023, 2024, leading to the election. Latinos talking about, we're so proud to vote for him. And then these Latinos watching their family members getting deported. Watching the same guy they voted for deport their fathers, their mothers, their cousins, their family members. That is egg on your face. You can't be from the Latino community, right? Watching what's happening, where he kicks all this. I mean, that's what we've been hearing since he came into office in January, is all the deportation. ICE members going and just grabbing and deporting mostly Hispanic, Latino nationals. Deporting them back. And these were the ones that were proud enough to say, we're proud to vote for Donald Trump. So where are you right now when you're seeing that he's even bringing white South Africans, right? I'm going to get to the South Africans, black South Africans in a minute, because we got smoke for them too. He's deporting all the Mexicans, Hispanic immigrants, and he's bringing white ones in here. A guy who campaigned about, no, we can't have immigrants in our countries. We can't have immigrants here. We got to send them back. But the white ones are okay. So where are the Latinos? Outraged. You voted for him. This is your president. This is your so-called, he's not racist, people misunderstood him, yada, 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 all of that. Where are you at? Because I'm sure you saw the same news I saw yesterday. I mean, this is just brand new. They flew in, perhaps on the same jets and plane that took your family members out of here. The same plane, they brought them in here. They brought the white ones. The white ones are okay. And then on top of it, he's fast tracking these ones to citizenship. Citizenship that takes years. They're going to become citizens in the next year, year and a half, American citizens. Where are you at? See, I'm so torn about doing this video because it's South Africa, right? South Africans have never been people that I particularly, I'm proud of at this very stage. Primarily because of their attack on their fellow Black Africans in their country. So I got smoke for them. Where are the Black South Africans who Trump kicked out of the United States? What are you talking about this? Where are you at with all of this? I did a video during this whole, immigration raid ICE a couple of months ago. And I talked about all the Africans that were getting kicked out. There were about 198 South Africans. At least that's the number we had at that time. It's probably more now. They were kicked out of the United States. They were all Black. Now he's bringing the white ones in. So where are the Black South Africans? The ones who like to be in their country. They defend everything white, even though those whites were the ones that placed them in apartheid. Subjugated them in their own land for years, and they would attack Nigerians. They will attack Ghanaians. They will attack Somalians. They'll attack everyone that is Black. But the ones that subjugate them in slavery, the ones that deny them equality in their own country, in their own land, on their own soil, they have no smoke for them. Year after year, we've seen Black South Africans attack, butcher, abuse, go on a whole campaign against their Black fellow Africans, who, by the way, supported them during the apartheid regime. Nigeria in particular. Nigeria led the coalition to set South Africa free from their white settlers who took over their country and placed them in slavery. Nigeria did. Let me give you because I knew I was going to do when this came out yesterday. I was like, yo, I got to do this video because the reason why I'm not a fan of South Africans is because of the injustice I see them do to people who supported them when they were going through apartheid. They've gotten in from Nigeria mostly, and Nigeria is the only country that supported them most than any other country in Africa. Hold on, let me give you some and remind South Africans who are watching me and many others who are watching me what Nigeria did for South Africa. They've seemed to forget. Here we go. Nigeria supported the formation of the UN Special Committee against apartheid in 1962. Nigeria boycotted international sporting events because Nigeria didn't want to play with South Africa. This is when the white South Africans were the ones that were allowed to play in the sporting events. Nigeria boycotted the whole thing. Nigerian students, hear this one out, all right? Nigerian students and civil servants voluntarily, I remember this when I was a kid, donated their lunch money to the SARF, the South African Relief Fund. I remember this when I was a kid. I remember this when I was 9 years old. I went home, our teacher said, hey, tell your parents that you would like to donate, right? They were donating to South Africa. I remember this when I was 9 years old. We donated our lunch money to South Africa. You owe me money. You owe me that lunch money, because when I see the attack that South Africa and the smoke South Africa have for Nigeria, my birth country, that pisses me off. So where are you right now when you find the people who you defend, the white South Africans who placed you in and subjugated you for years in apartheid? now getting first-class treatment to the United States, and they leave you behind. As a matter of fact, they deport you out of the country. Hold on, we got more. Nigeria established the Mandela tax, a voluntary tax deduction from the salaries of Nigerian civil servants. Nigeria taxed its own civil servants so they can send money to South Africa. Hold on. Nigeria created the Southern Africa Relief Fund in 1976 to provide financial support to anti-apartheid movement. Nigeria provided training and support to the armed wing of the African National Congress, ANC, and the Pan-Africanist Congress, the PAC. Nigeria contributed millions of dollars to the ANC and other liberation movement over the decades. Hold on, there's more. In 1976, Nigeria committed 5% of its national budget to fight against apartheid. These and many more Nigeria did to that country and did for them. But the men and women in South Africa today have forgotten. The young ones, they've forgotten that Nigeria was the one country, the only African country. There were other African countries that played a role, but Nigeria played the most role in liberating South Africa. And what do we see? When it comes to South African citizens against Nigerians, they attack Nigerians. They hate Nigerians. The same country that liberated and fought sent its own citizens to go die for you. They fight against Nigerians. So I'm asking the questions. South Africans, black South Africans, where are you? Where are you at? Where the people who placed you in slavery for years in your country are getting preferential treatment. They're brought to the United States first class. They're brought here. Right? They're skipping all the immigration process. They're fast tracking them to citizenship while they're kicking you out of the country. They're kicking you out of the country. Right? The ones you like to defend in your country and say, oh, because South Africans have smoke for all West Africans. They have smoke for Nigerians. They have smoke for Ghanaians. They have smoke for people from Togo. They have smoke for Somalians who are on the other side of Africa. They've got smoke for West Africa. South Africa has smoke for West Africans. And they would exempt the ones placing them in subjection, the ones that are robbing their lands, the ones that they're putting them in poverty. Can you imagine a settler in your own country having first-class treatment and treating you as a third-class citizen in your own country? Now, I'm not for violence. Okay, let me make that clear. I'm not for violence, but I don't remember the last time I saw a protest in South Africa, right, against the white settlers who have taken over their country. But I remember very well, not too long ago, protests against Nigerians in South Africa. Protests against Nigerians to the point that they were slaughtering Nigerians. They were macheting Nigerians down, destroying their stores. People who are contributing to your economy, people who had nothing to do with your enslavement, who had nothing to do with your subjugation. As a matter of fact, people who historically had everything to do with your liberation. These are the people who were attacking. So, my question for South Africans, again, because I was looking around for videos, right? For videos, and I couldn't find any, where black South Africans are outraging this. They keep quiet when it comes to white folks subjugating them, but they've got smoke for their black African allies. That is the only thing I have against South Africa. Other than that, they're beautiful people, they're awesome people, they're Africans like us, but I don't like that I donated my lunch money to this country and to find their men and women today attack my people, right? My beloved country who stood for you. That is a sour taste in my mouth. So what are we supposed to do? I'm supposed to look upon this story and be like, oh my God, look at what's going on. How dare Trump, right? How dare he treat the black South Africans there, right? And then forget that these same black South Africans have had it in for their fellow African brothers and sisters for years. I am holding South Africans, black South Africans, accountable. Where are you? Where's your outrage at what's happening? Right? The ones you like to defend, where's your outrage? Because I am not about to do that for you. You're not about to find this Nigerian sit up on his platform and defend South Africa when South Africa has done nothing or humiliate and attack Nigerians in your own country. You go to Nigeria today. ShopRite is a South African company. They are allowed to do business, thrive in the largest economy in Africa. But you go to South Africa, right? As recent as 2021, 2022, they were destroying Nigerian companies in their country. What did Nigeria do to them? You see, I'm really trying to keep it together today. Today, you're not going to vex me today. You're not going to vex me. Because this is the type of thing that I'm just trying to keep it together. Right? Because if there's any time you would expect people to stand up, right? It'll be at moments like this. Right? If there's any time, see, I'm not going to get on the Latinos. I already got on the Latinos. That's, they got their own battles to fight, right? My quarrel is with South Africans. Where you at? Where you at? That's a question for you. Because until I see you demonstrate against the ones snatching your land in your own country, I have no respect for you. Okay, when I mean demonstrate, I'm talking about peaceful demonstration. I haven't even seen that in South Africa. It's all lip service. But you got demonstration, right? You get on the streets for your African brothers and sisters in your own country, contributing to your economy. You drive them away, you attack them. But the ones that are subjugating you, that are placing you in slavery, taking jobs from your hands, taking your land, taking your houses, putting a system in place to keep you poor, those ones you don't have smoke for. But you got smoke for all your African brothers and sisters in your country, contributing to your well-being. Now, don't go vex me today. When I don't go vex me, you're not going to get me upset today. Today is Kwaku. See, I was born on Wednesday, so I'm trying to keep it together. Today is Wednesday, and it's Kwaku Day. I'm trying to keep it together. You're not going to vex me today. Because this is the type of thing that we just need to call out. You can't just wash away history and forget it and say, oh, no, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. You can say anything you want to say about Nigeria. You can say that Nigeria today is not standing up. You can say whatever. But what can you say about Nigeria for years who supported fought? There hasn't been one country. Let me help you understand this. There's no one country in Africa that's done more for Africa than Nigeria. None. If I'm lying, leave it in the comment section. Everyone's got smoke for Nigeria. There's no one country in Africa, the entire continent of Africa, that's done more to support their African neighbors, to support their African brothers and sisters, to fight and send people to them than Nigeria. You'll find Liberians. Liberians will spit on the faces of Nigerians and talk trash, right? But then they forget that Nigerians sent soldiers, our own citizens, to go die for them in their liberations. You'll find South Africans. You'll find Ghanaians. You'll find plenty of places that will speak ill of the same people who have supported them the most. They seem to forget. So I'm supposed to just sit up here and forget that? No, I'm 47 years old. I've been around for a minute. Every country in Africa, let me help you understand this, and I'm going to close this. Every country, whether it's West Africa, whether it's East, whether it's South Africa, every country in Africa owes a debt of gratitude to every Nigerian and that country. Every citizen I don't care where you think Nigeria should be. I don't care what your smoke is for Nigeria today. I don't care. You owe a debt of gratitude to that country. Because that country has bled. Their citizens have bled. That country has put his money where his mouth is. That country has stood up when they needed to stand up. And you owe a debt of gratitude to that country and its citizens. So South Africa, I'm waiting for you. I hate that you're going through what you're going through in our country, but we're all going through what we're going through in our countries. But what I'm not going to accept is for a country who benefited greatly from our struggle, our people, to spit on our faces and make us look like we're nothing and call us small. No, we're not. We're the giant of Africa for a reason. Because as far as I'm concerned, Trump can bring all the white South Africans into this country all he wants. This is his country. Right? As far as I'm concerned, he can do whatever he wants to do. I'm not about to call him a racist president, which he is. I'm not about to say this whole thing is foul and disgusting, which it is. No. You got to do that by your own self. Because I'm just watching to find out where you at in this whole thing. And right now, you're being a coward. Sitting down when you should be outraged that they're bringing the white ones in and they're kicking you out. So until you stand up, you don't have my respect. And that's my stance. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all next time.
Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för dig baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger av min tid, jag vill ha dig. Du får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig.